Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors? Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item will be a statement by the Board Vice President, Mr. Jerry Denton.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in other silent activity. Thank you.
Next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Board Clerk, Ms. Brandy Roulette.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Roulette. Next item will be discussion and motion to, or approval for the May 10th board meeting minutes. Any discussions or questions?
Make a motion to approve. I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Abstain?
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item will be the May 17th board meeting minutes. Any discussion?
Make a motion
What
to
was
approve.
that?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Abstain?
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, Ms. Barber.
Good evening, President Allen, Dr. Vinson, members of the board. It's such a great honor to be able to celebrate a phenomenal educator and a phenomenal human being. Christy Sturgeon serves as one of our counselors at the high school, and just to scratch the surface on a few things that she's done just even this school year, she implemented and taught a suicide prevention curriculum for all of the high school teachers. She facilitated, under the leadership of Gene Brassfield's team, some parent forums. One was called Dear Stress, We Need to Talk, just really getting that conversation started with parents. And then this summer is facilitating a 7 Habits for Highly Effective Families Zoom parent forums discussions. So for those reasons and many more, she was named the Oklahoma School Counselor of the Year by the Oklahoma School Counselor Association. So Christy, why don't you come up here? And I did give her a heads up and tell her you might have a couple questions for her this evening.
It makes me a little nervous. I just want to say thank you so much for the privilege and the honor to be a school counselor in the Broken Arrow District. It is definitely one of the highlights of my last 17 years of work in the field. So it's been a pleasure, a great pleasure, and I am so excited to represent Broken Arrow.
We are so excited that you represent us.
Thank
Man.
you.
What a deal. That is such great recognition. I just want to say thanks for all you're doing. I mean, and especially in a time right now, reaching out to the families and the kids with the suicide prevention. That is such a wonderful thing, but really just extending it out throughout the whole summer and continuing that help and education. So thanks for doing a great job for us.
Absolutely. I'm excited to
representing.
do it. It's wonderful. It fulfills me too. It gives me a sense of purpose.
That's incredible.
In what I do.
Love that.
Thank you.
So to put this in perspective, how many counselors, this may be a question for Ms. Barber, but how many counselors do we have in this state? And what's the process for which this award is given?
I have no idea how many.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
So one of the things too that I serve on the Oklahoma School Counselor Association
Mhm.
board. I'm as of tonight received the nomination to be the president-elect. So I will be the OSCA board president, not this coming year, but the following year. So I probably should know those details. I'll probably have to be looking at some of that, but yeah, so I have no idea how many school counselors we have. Our membership right now is around 400. So, and I think we probably have about 30 to 40% of the state's counselors as members right now. So that's one of my goals, is to increase our membership and to get it out to all areas of the state of Oklahoma, and to connect what we're doing as school counselors with what the State Department is wanting us to do. So that's a big task. As far as this process, I was nominated by Kim Shine.
Mhm.
She's my principal, my direct supervisor at the high school, and a great friend. And I think she filled out the application, and then I created, there's, pretty extensive essays that I answered, and that's where that came from. And then in the next couple of months, I'll be preparing a presentation for the national level. So we'll move on to the ASCA, American School Counselor Association process.
And that's kind of my point, is that this is a really big deal, and someone has to take notice of the work you do to even nominate you. And our state, I think we have 550 some odd districts, and so to even be noticed is a really big deal, and then for you to be recognized at the state level is huge. So we are so proud and honored that you are being recognized at the state level, and we're really, really proud that you're from Broken Arrow, so congratulations.
Thank you. And I don't know how many of you know this, but I am born and bred and raised Broken Arrow, so it's nice to be able to have this in my hometown.
I think you had told me that when we were band moms together, so.
Yes, we've done that too.
Yes.
So it's a great honor, and I really appreciate the opportunity to represent this district, and hope that I can do so well.
It was very, very well deserved. We are so proud of you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, number 7, Ms. Hennis.
Good evening, President Allen, members of the board. Tonight, I would like to recommend Robin Saputo for the position of principal at Aspen Creek Early Childhood Center. Julie Wallace is the current principal, but we are moving her to Arrow Springs Early Childhood Center to take on a new endeavor there. And so with that vacancy, we were interviewed Robin and are recommending her. Just so you know, some background on Robin, she comes to us from several places. She's lived in different places, but with that brought experience from that has really blessed us here at BA. So she has early childhood experience, but very passionate about children. But then also just really understanding the curriculum that we actually use in our early childhood center. She used it as a teacher. And so she's prepared with that, but then really the application, and can know exactly how to support teachers. But then outside of that, anytime that we have issues that come up, as an assistant principal, Robin has stepped up and said, how can I help? And so she helped us with the virtual academy this year, and just numerous committees when we're talking about instruction, because she's super passionate about that. And so with your permission, I would like to hire her as the new principal.
Questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell,
Yes.
Ms. Roulette,
Yes,
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes. Is Robin here?
she is, and with her
She stand
family,
up,
Miss
please?
Saputo.
All right.
Would you like to introduce your family?
This is my daughter, Sadie. Marcus. These are my parents, Bob and Janet Lance from Wyoming.
Oh.
And I just
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robin, thank you for everything you do for our district, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Okay, next item will be comments from the public. We do have one speaker, Ms. Tricia Washburn, and you will have 3 minutes, Ms. Washburn, and being a non-agenda item. I believe you have yeah, right here on at the podium, and there'll be a clock up there, I believe,
Hey, bang, bang.
that Ms. Hill has up there, so,
Okay,
yeah,
ready?
yes.
Okay, so I'm actually here because none of you have answered my emails that I sent you. None of you, except you, but you really didn't answer my question. So, as I understand, every Broken Arrow school board member took a loyalty oath which read, "I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America." Since you all swore to uphold the Constitution, please show me where it says that 5 elected school board members and 1 superintendent on taxpayer salary are given authority to violate the rights of thousands of parents who did not want their children wearing masks to school. Where does it say in the Constitution that parents' rights to decide what is best for their children can be suspended by aforementioned elected school board or superintendent on taxpayer salary? I am formally asking you to provide constitutional documentation for all citizens and parents to prove where this authority is granted to you. The Constitution was written for farmers, and it's not difficult. As school board members, where was your authority to force mass children against their parents' will granted to you in the Constitution of the United States of America? Because there's nothing more sacred than the parent-child relationship. And our constitutional rights are not suspended even in the event of a pandemic. So additionally, Superintendent Vinson is on the last school board meeting video openly encouraging parents to get the experimental mRNA COVID vaccine for school-aged children. She's not a doctor and should not be dispensing medical advice. This vaccine is emergency use only, and no one has any idea what the adverse reactions and long-term side effects will be, and there have already been enough, including fatalities. Since children aren't even at risk at this point in time, is this a reckless as well as potentially dangerous recommendation? Between forcing children to wear masks and now promoting experimental vaccines, at what point do Ms. Vinson's decisions become detrimental to the welfare of children? Does the board support her subjective recommendation for vaccines? Is the formal position of the board pro-COVID vaccine for Broken Arrow children? If because of this public suggestion, and in the case of a vaccine injury to a child, who would be held responsible for that child's vaccine injury? Anybody?
This is a non-agenda item, so we're not allowed to answer.
Okay, so are you going to answer my emails at all? Any of you? And actually answer the questions in them? Anybody? Just smile.
Well, again, we're not allowed to respond to you.
Okay,
because
so
it's a
should I look for
non-agenda
your
item.
email answers in my email then? Because I want to know where your constitutional authority is for this.
Okay, your time's up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item will be the consent agenda items, number 10 through 84. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell,
Yes.
Ms. Roulette, Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes, thank you. Next item, number 85, Ms. Kearns.
Good evening. Last month, I brought to you 3 board policies for review. Tonight, I bring them to you as an action item for vote. Board policies 1250, 62, 65, 62, 70. If you don't have any questions, we do ask for your approval at this time.
All right, make a motion to approve?
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell,
Yes.
Ms. Roulette,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes. Next item, Ms. Kearns.
The next item is information only. We are bringing you one more policy as a first read. We generally wait until all of the policies come to you that are mandated by the legislation, but this one needed to come now as Mr. Blackburn led a committee on dress code, and they really need to get this approved on the June 28th meeting so they can publish all the materials that they need to get ready for the school year. So this is information only tonight to give you a chance to review, and we'll bring that to you in the next board meeting for an action item.
I was just wondering, in regards to maybe this topic, do we have plans around, not just publishing, but really kind of getting that, if there's significant changes or anything to that, or of sort, do we have plans around that to communicate that in a variety of channels?
Ms. Dias, do you want to answer?
Yes, we do. Once it's approved, we've already talked about communications team and all the site principals, so we will.
Beautiful.
That's why we want to get it done ahead of time so that parents have time.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Yeah, and I
It was really a
believe.
rhetorical question, I figured.
You're good.
And I believe it was a pretty extensive committee that he put together with parents and principals.
There were middle school, there was a rep from every middle school and high school, BAPS options, elementary schools, and a parent committee as well.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
the changes are not huge. The biggest thing will probably just be the leggings as the outer garment.
Gotcha.
That's probably the biggest, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No, thank you. Next item, Mr. Shepherd.
Just want to say good evening, President Allen, Dr. Vinson, board members. Just want to take a look at item number 87, discussion, motion, and vote to disapprove or to approve the rejection of the bid for the demo of the old Haskell school building on the east side of the Options Academy. Just want to see if there's any questions or anything that need to be discussed on that. We received the bids, and we feel like we're doing our due diligence to be good stewards of the school district's funds to reject the bid due to the discrepancy in the price between the bid that would have won and the one that was disqualified due to a technicality.
Fair enough. Okay. Make a motion to reject the bid?
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell,
Yes.
Ms. Roulette,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Peterson.
Good evening, President Allen, Dr. Vincent, and members of the board. Tonight I'm coming to you asking for approval for the purchase of science curriculum for the 2021 school year, and actually it would go for the next 6 years during that adoption cycle. We put together a committee of teachers that represented all elementaries to make sure that teachers had voice, and so those teachers narrowed down. We had 16 options this year. And so this was during one of those times they actually got to sit through like 16 virtual representations from 7:45 in the morning till about 5:30 in the evening. Once we went through that, we brought that team together. We narrowed it down to 4, and then we held a caravan so that every teacher across the district did have the opportunity to come and actually see, and then they voted. And Twig Science was the option that they landed on.
All right. Is this new?
It is new.
Okay.
It is
Thank
new.
you. Any other discussion, questions?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Hang on.
You're slowing us down. Come on.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell,
Yes.
Ms. Roulette,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes, thank you. Next item, Ms. James, number 89.
Good evening, President Allen, the board, and Dr. Vinson. I'd like to put before you for your discussion and approval to purchase our new agreement between us and Apex Learning to provide our digital curriculum for grades 6th through 12th grade, and then the program is Apex. Just to provide background, we put a committee together. So it was pre-K through 12th teachers, but the 6th through 12th grade teachers and admin, and we also had Amanda Summers on the team to kind of review and look at and ensure that the curriculum we were purchasing hit all the needs and all the gaps we have had in the past. The good news with this is that it is the same cost we've been paying for Edgenuity in the past. In addition, they're giving us tutorial courses for free. One group of which is for Vanguard. So second semester of each year for Vanguard, they will have SAT prep in which we prepare those students and do that formal assessment for them to prepare them to take that test.
Any questions?
Do you know if there'll be much of a change for like parents or, you know, the people that are helping some of the kids and
Yeah,
things like
for
that?
6th through 12th grade, it'll be a lot easier because they work with Canvas. One of our biggest problems in the past is that they had to get into Edmentum on the side,
Right.
and also Edgenuity as well. It was a separate login, and it wouldn't work with Canvas. This integrates itself through Canvas, so we have a single sign-on. So you go to one place, you get that. Your grades are put through Canvas. It communicates through that. So what our students are seeing in the regular classroom in brick and mortar, our virtual kiddos will see that, and so will our parents. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more teacher-friendly and definitely student and parent.
Beautiful answer.
Yeah. We were excited, and the cost. That was another huge plus for us on this.
Thank you.
Okay. Questions?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hennis?
Good evening again. Will the map go up there?
You want it?
So.
You want it up there?
Yes, do you mind just because
I'll try.
visually, I provided you all with a map of Aspen, or so Arrow Springs, ECC. We are looking at, because of the way that the attendance there, it's hard to get that building full. And so as a way to utilize that building to serve our employees in a different way, we're hoping to still have pre-K there, but in those additional classrooms, turn that into an employee daycare. So with that, we're going to have to maneuver the boundaries so that we can get our pre-K students, so that we aren't overfilling the pre-K there. And so we're just asking to shift the boundaries where those far east, I don't know the exact name of it, right by Rosewood, all of that east, that was Arrow Springs ECC, now will just be Park Lane. So it was actually Park Lane before the redistricting last year, so it'll just go back to Park Lane. So that was the request. That's okay.
We have the map.
I think that you
So
can see that.
it won't affect any existing students because students are only there for a year. So
Right.
it would only be incoming pre-K students, so parents wouldn't know any different because they weren't there last year.
Right.
So you're
And
moving
those-
kids out of Arrow Springs back to Park Lane, is that what you're saying?
So instead of, it wouldn't be as much, yes.
Okay.
And they have it there, it wouldn't be a move out, like as if you were, had already been attending at like an elementary, so
'Cause
they've
pre-K
never
kids
gone
are-
to the school
One- one
before.
and one year.
One and
Yeah,
done.
it's one and done, because the pre-K
Well, I
kids are only there
understand
1
that,
year.
but I mean, I couldn't understand what we're getting the kids from, but I do.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you click on the item, you can see the
Yeah, I mean,
boundary.
it's, you just moved it over a little, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
And then those that are already enrolled there, if it's approved, then I'll make the phone call to the family, and they would just have the option to, if they want to stay at Arrow Springs, it'll be fine for next year, and then the following year, but they'll be closer to Park Lane.
So you're giving parents options this next year?
Yes, those that are already enrolled prior to this decision, because we told them back at the pre-K 101 that those were the boundaries. So prior to tonight, yes, we'll call them if they're in that area that can move over and see if they are okay with moving to Park Lane.
How many students you?
There are 17 that are enrolled there right now, so.
So
Not
you
too
said you have a
many.
hard time filling that with pre-K?
So in the past, I mean, it's been it just hasn't been our fullest site. I've been in this position now 3 years, and Arrow Springs has never been full. So prior to COVID even. So with COVID, we took it down to 7 gen ed and 1 special education classroom there. And then instead of trying to fill those, we thought we'd use it as an opportunity. We sent out a survey, and we have a lot of employees that are interested, so.
Is Aspen Creek always full?
Yes.
Have we taken into consideration the housing developments that are getting, there's one that's, I believe, right over that's about ready to go up, of what that will do to impact our numbers?
To Park Lane, what the numbers will look
I
like
believe
at
there's
Park.
one over close to Arrow Springs that's gonna be south of Childers there, that area.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I met with Michelle and Roslyn, and Spencer drew the maps with all of the information that they know, and they were okay with these boundary changes.
Because I want us to avoid coming back in a year to 2 years when that development's done and saying, well, we don't have room for pre-K students, but we have room for our staff daycare. So, and what are we gonna do now?
We always have the flexibility also to be able to open up pre-K classrooms within our elementaries, and that gives us that flexibility too. And honestly, that helps us a lot, especially in some of our title elementaries, because some of our title sites, parents don't have that flexibility of transportation.
Okay.
So we tend to want to open up classrooms in those elementary sites more so than our pre-K classrooms. So we'll use those sites as fluid pre-K classrooms.
And I get requests all the time from principals. They're like, I have an extra classroom. Will you put a
they
solo
want to.
site there? Because we do have those 3 elementaries that have
So
solo
explain,
sites.
just so I have an understanding, so is there a certain age? that
Pre-K, just 4-year-olds.
For the faculty or the?
Daycare.
Oh, for the daycare part, it will be 6 weeks through 3, and then they can go to whichever site they would go to for pre-K.
And we have personnel.
So we will. So we're at the very beginning of the planning stages, sent the survey to make sure that we actually have a need, not just based on word of mouth, and we do.
Are there other large districts that provide an employee daycare?
So not in this area, not that I'm aware of. I think at one time Tulsa Public had one, but I don't know that it's still operating. And then Ms. Wallace worked in a district in Austin, Texas that had that, and she's always talked about this ever since I've started working with her, wanting to be a principal at a site that's true early childhood, 6 weeks through pre-K. So I think it's going to be I know it's going to be the best.
It's
in
a
the area.
huge perk. I know that when I taught at Oklahoma State, they had one, and it was a huge, huge perk for
Is
employees.
this free for the teachers?
No, it would not be free.
No, not free.
They still would pay, but we would make sure that we are below everyone in this area. Just like with our before and after care
Right.
program, we make sure that we're under what everyone is charging, so,
Do you see this as a recruitment tool?
yes.
Absolutely.
And to sustain
Lot of head
the
shaking
teachers
going
that
on
we
out there.
have,
Yeah.
so.
Skytook has one.
They do?
Yeah, called Little Bulldogs. They
Okay.
have one over at
Oh, that's cute.
yeah, over at their place.
I'll have to go, I wanna go check it out then.
And I
So.
think you have to get certification by DHS or someone,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
And we've met with DHS, they walked the building with us, so
Yeah.
to make sure that we
They-
didn't have
they
to
have
have
one.
any additional construction to
Gotcha.
the site. And it'll be a pretty easy, when it comes to the facility. We have all of the furniture from the Margaret Hudson program that we were storing. It just happened, it's all been approved to use that. It's almost $30,000 worth of equipment that we
Nice.
can use.
Tiger cubs.
What'd you say?
Tiger cubs.
Yes.
Cool. Very nice.
It's very popular and successful in Skytook, is from what I told I've dealt with them. So
That's nice. All right, cool.
be a good resource.
I will
And is
reach
this
out to
for
them
all
for sure.
employees?
All employees.
Okay.
So, and that's part of the survey. We asked, like, would you use it for 12 months? Would you only use it during the school? And so those logistics will have to be worked out because we have employees that would utilize it, you know, both ways. Some of them want like a half time, so we'll just have to look at all of those moving parts. I think it's gonna be great
That's a
for
lot of
us.
moving parts.
It is. But my BNA team, we can handle that.
All right.
Any more
Well-
questions, discussion?
Nope.
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second that motion.
Motion is second, please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Ms. Enoff.
Good evening. I'd like to ask the board to approve entering into negotiations for the 21-22 school year. We have always had a very successful history with our association, and I see Ms. Brown in the audience with us tonight, and so we look forward to engaging in another successful year of negotiations with them.
Ms. Brown, it's great to see you.
Yes.
Very good to see you. Yep. Any questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second that motion.
Motion is second, please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, there is none. We'll move, as new business, sorry. Next item, new business, there isn't. Next item, executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session?
I'll second that motion. Second that motion.
Motion is second, please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ms. Kearns, what you got?
I'm gonna start.
Next item, the acknowledge we come out of executive session. Ms. Roulette?
Okay. The Board of Education, Dr. Janet Benson, Lori Kearns, and Natalie Enoch entered into an executive session at 6:36 PM to discuss the proposed negotiations with the Broken Arrow Education Association, BAEA, pursuant to Oklahoma Statute 25, Section 307B2. The Board of Education returned to open session at 7:19. This constitutes the minutes of the executive session.
All right, next item is to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Ms. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.